Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SSRG and Your View. I hope you've been enjoying yourself so far. Today, something came to mind because back home in Nigeria, a lot of the time there are things that we do not consider abusive. But when you shine light on them, when you think about them, you understand that those things are abusive. A lot of the time, it's with children, the way we raise children. And of course, we will quote the Bible, spare the rod and spoil the child.
Mhm.
But those things can be abusive. But today, we
Yeah.
decided that we should talk about older adults and some of the treatments that they receive, some of the things that we do, and we consider it caring for them. But those things can be abusive to older adults. And sometimes the argument that we give to support this treatment is that we say that when people get older, they start acting like children. So we start
Mhm.
treating them like children. We forget that they have agency, that they are adults and they should be treated with respect. So this is
Yeah.
what we want to talk about today. And I'm going to
Mhm.
start by asking, what are some of these practices, some of these things that we do with older adults in Nigeria that constitute abuse, but we do not think about them as abuse?
Mm. Well, I'll stand aside now for TC because he's a gerontology scholar. So
It is. And he
make
has
I don't
written
go show
something on
myself.
this.
TC, I beg
And
this the
imagine,
ball is in your court.
which ball they my court. You want my kick the ball come up for court. And imagine color. But yeah, and Ima, we have I have collaborated on a paper on this that looked at abuse of older adults in caregiving settings, family caregiving setting. And it's actually a real thing because as family members, as caregivers, we tend to do things out of our respect or sometimes out of good intentions, not bad intentions, but eventually leads to harm. But before talking about like abuse, I'll give my personal experience of something that translates to abuse and it's stereotype because most times our abusive behavior stem from to older adults stem from stereotypical mindsets about older adults. And one typical
Yeah.
example I have about stereotype is like when you have a general assumption of a group of people that are not true, that are unfounded. One example, which was personal to me, was sometime I cooked spaghetti. We all know what spaghetti is, pasta in Nigeria. I cooked pasta in the village. I was staying with my grandma for a while. After cooking the pasta, she gave me the money to cook the pasta. That's for context. But after cooking this pasta, she went to the farm and came back. And I also made fufu and egusi soup, I think. But I ate the pasta, finished the pasta, and then yeah, I finished the whole pasta. And then she came back. She was like, "Let me make I dish something for her, make she chop." So I brought out the egusi and pande, what's it called?
So
Fufu
because
for
say
her.
she old and
Egusi,
she dey village, she no feel her mouth, her
Yeah.
stomach no feel digest pasta.
Exactly, bro. That was what I was thinking. But wait, full disclosure, that was my younger self. I wasn't that
No,
mature.
but it's good that you can reflect on that and
Mhm.
recognize because this is some sort of financial abuse because you think that she just gave you the money to cook pasta for yourself as a young person without considering that she also wants to enjoy something nice and something good.
Exactly. Well, guess
So
what?
you committed financial abuse and pastor abuse at the same
Bro,
time.
guess what? She asked when I dished the swallow, she asked specifically for the pasta because she knew I was going to cook pasta. She asked for it. I'm like, what do you mean by pasta? You don't eat pasta. But that's something, if you bring it down to everyday life, that's something we typically do to older adults. When we assume, oh, for example, money, you take their money and assume they
You
don't
think they
need.
don't need money. You'll be like, what? They are old already. What do they need money for?
Exactly. So those things constitute abuse that we need to watch out well. So that's, I mean, along the line, we can talk about other examples, which let me talk about one before I stop, Ima. One example that we found in our study that we did was about lack of privacy to dress or undress.
Hmm.
As adults, you have that need for privacy when you're dressing up, irrespective of your relationship with the other person who is in the room, unless you specifically want them to be, maybe they're your spouse or your partner or any other thing. But like children, my siblings, for example, my especially when it's of the opposite gender, I would not be comfortable with them being in the same room with me changing. But when it comes to older adults, as children and grandchildren, we typically would not grant older adults that privacy when they want to dress. So they are dressing and the line.
So we will just assume they are old already. They don't. What are they hiding?
So,
Bam,
exactly.
So we
bam,
think of them as asexual. That's part of the thing.
bam, bam.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I was going to say to that.
Okay, Emma wants to say something.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And another thing, of course, I'm not a gerontologist, but I don't need to be to know some of these things. Another thing that is very important, which is very abusive, is when we assume that older adults, because of their age, cannot take decisions on their own. And you want to decide everything for them. You take them to the bank to open a bank account for them, for example, and you don't want them to answer to the questions. Allow them, except in some cases where you know that they have, I don't know, maybe severe dementia, or like when it's proven, it's medically proven that they don't know, that they lose cognition. That is when you do that kind of thing, but not just like in your house. And some people come from NGOs to have some kind of surveys, and then you want to be saying everything because you feel now the old woman or the old man, what do they even know that they are talking about? They know things that you don't even know. Some of them, they know much more than we do. So don't make decisions for them. Allow them to make their own decision, but you can guide them to make informed decision. This is one thing that is very important. And then another part that...
Okay, sorry, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, so another part I was going to talk about is that, just like Prince has said, it seems that in Nigeria, the older people get, the more we associate them with behaving like babies. So you see a lot of people, especially family caregivers, being overprotective of older adults. Don't go outside, you are going to fall. Don't go to the kitchen, you should never cook. Sometimes just allowing the person to cook is going to have a very positive contribution to their mental health status, but you don't know about it. Because the more you try to pin them to a place, the more they feel that they are so helpless, and you're taking away that agency from them. But sometimes you see the person being so happy, just realizing that I can still make ogbono soup on my own. These are some of the things that you take pride in, even at 89 or 90 years old. But you feel like you are helping mama. Mama should not go to the kitchen and all of that. So you have to be very careful when you do some of these things. Yeah.
Ima, did you say you are not an aging scholar?
I am not.
Your opinion is given.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell a pastor story, since we are basing this on pastor. And we are now associating pastor with abuse.
Exactly.
So when I was at Liverpool, Nova Scotia, I was there for an aging summer school. So they invited a lot of people, fantastic speakers, but there was this old man that came. And this man is living with dementia. And he told a story that still sticks with me today. I saw him last year at another conference, and I was like, I'm going to go to his presentation. So he said that when his wife died, that a group of researchers came to ask him to interview him. But before they started the interview, his children were there. And during the interview, they asked him what is his favorite food. And he said steak. Steak is meat, like beef that's prepared, but like suya, it's like suya, yeah. That's his favorite food. And his children were like, that's not possible. Your favorite food is pasta. You ate pasta every night for the last 30 years. And the man said, well, you might think that because that's what my wife cooks. And I eat that. And you think that's my favorite food. And then he told them that he got married, like during his time, they didn't date. It was arranged. And the first night of their marriage, the wife prepared pasta. He fucking hates pasta. That was the first thing his wife prepared. And he ate it, and his wife asked him, did you like it? And he said, this is the best thing ever.
What do you want the man to say?
And the wife continued making him pasta, and he continued eating pasta until his wife died.
Oh.
So, which means that in this making decisions, we have to listen to the older adults, even when they are living with dementia. We should not assume that they don't have agency and they can't make decisions and they don't know what is best for themselves. So if those researchers did not talk to the older adult who is living with dementia himself, they would have gone home thinking this man's favorite food is pasta, without knowing that the man do not like pasta. So
Yes.
I'm alluding to the points that Emma has made and TC has made, that we must recognize that they can make decisions and they know what is best for themselves. Okay.
Exactly. And that is why, sorry, I'm also going to chip in this. That is not allowing them to make decision is part of the reasons why you see some people, for example, especially younger people living with older adults or taking care of them, just because they feel like mama or papa is already old. They can't even go to the bank, they can't even go to the POS agent. They take the person's ATM card, go and withdraw money from their account without their consent. That is abuse.
And
You have no
use it for
right to do
something that
that.
will not even benefit without consent, one, and then use it for something that will
Exactly.
benefit the other person.
Or for example, you feel that every day mama has been eating okra soup and fufu in this house. Today, I want to make her something special, and you use her own money to buy that thing you want to make for her because you have good intention. You are abusing mama. You are not helping her. Explain to her that she needs to eat something different, and she says, okay, take the card, go and withdraw it before you do that. Even if she has 1 million in her account, that money does not belong to you and you have no right to use it.
Because okra soup might be her favorite.
Because that was why I said, Ima, you really need to consider coming into the aging field, because you can combine your interest in youth and young people with older people. But another thing you mentioned was how older people can keep or pick up a hobby like cooking or doing something, and it benefits their mental health or their well-being. That has been proven, like you said, in research. And it's also something about, because we know that with age comes limitation with some things you were doing before, and you have
That's the activity theory of aging. So there are two competing theories: the activity theory and disengagement theory. So some people argue that it's good for them to disengage, but some people think that if they disengage, their health and well-being deteriorate so fast.
I don't have data. I don't have any data right now to base my argument, but I will strongly argue, just from my common sense, that engagement is better.
They don't have to do it exactly how they were doing it when they were younger, because motor skills may reduce or any other thing.
Because
you know
also that you know also that there is a close relationship between disengagement and depression.
Yes,
there is, because when you disengage, you are not frequenting outside. It leads to all kind of things like loneliness. But like you rightly said, Prince and Ima, is when there's a model, and I won't explain it, but it's called selection, optimization, and compensation. I would explain the optimization and compensation in terms of when you lose functionality in other things. Maybe you used to play soccer before as a younger person. You grow older.
Now you become a coach or referee.
You become a coach or referee. So you pick something else and then come. So you have to encourage people, older persons, to keep engaging in the activities that they still have the functional capacity to do, if they still have that strength.
Just one last thing, so we can touch on one last thing before we end today's video. So what can be done? Because we have mentioned some of the things that should be doing, or some of the things that we should be thinking. But how do people know this? Considering that, like, I remember when I was studying gerontology, I was traveling to the UK, and when I was going through the airport, the person asked me, why are you going to the UK? I said, I'm going for our gerontology, blah, 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 blah. And the person said, what is gerontology? I said, the study of aging. And the person said, do we do that in Nigeria? Considering that it is not a field that a lot of people are engaged in. And the knowledge about caring for older adults appropriately is very limited. How do we spread more knowledge? What do we do to make people learn more how to do this and do it safely, care for our older adults safely? How do we do that?
I feel like grassroots researchers have a lot of things to do in this aspect. because they are the ones closer to the people. And I think the best medium to do that is to try to penetrate informal caregivers or family caregivers, given that Nigeria is so high on family caregiving. So I feel like researchers should try to educate family caregivers. But then there is also a question of how do they do that?
They can partner with, I feel like, educators in university, like people like Professor Uzo, who is a well-known researcher and educator in the gerontology field. They can partner with those kind of people.
Data collection could be a good means of doing this. Because you know that recently we are now beginning to rethink research in such a way that participants are not just people we go and extract information from. They are people that we collaborate with to make meaning of the situation based on their lived experiences. So when you are collecting data from family caregivers, maybe you are doing a study, we can use it as an opportunity. For example, a focus group discussion to chip in some of these things.
Yeah.
We can use that medium to also pass information while getting information from them.
Thank you both so much for your contribution to this discussion. I'm just going to say one thing and then we'll end for today. I think that our courses in secondary school should have an aspect of aging. For instance, civic education, I think that's a course in secondary school.
Yeah, it is.
And talk more about aging discourse. Like there are some social science and art courses that should start exposing people from a young age about aging and caregiving. So that's my simple suggestion. Thank you all for engaging with us. We expect your comments, your contribution. How do you think? We want to hear from our audience. How do you think we can improve caregiving for older adults in Nigeria? And remember to subscribe and like our video. If not, Emma might go home
don't
and cry
finish
tonight.
the pasta before your grandma comes back from the farm. Keep some pasta for her.
Emma, I've repented. Please.
All right. Take care.